familiar faces here.
Yes,
Hello. Thank you for coming back. So we are from Pop Culture Uncovered, and we're going to talk about the Me Too movement and its effects on Geekdom. And I guess we'll just go down the line and introduce ourselves, starting with Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine McLean. I am a panelist here because I'm sitting behind the table. And I'm a performer of various genres.
She's an amazing opera singer. I don't know why you're downplaying yourself.
That's the thing. You do the thing.
Are we being serious or?
You can be cheeky. That's where you live.
So what did I say? Okay, last time I knew what I said. Okay, I'm Misty Knight, and I'm fabulous. You know, all these things about me. But no, my name is Megan Ginyard. I am a not cosplayer, I wish. I am a podcaster at PCU. Numerous podcasts that we do. We do one at Fan of Comics in DC on comic books and records and that. We do Because We Black Y'all because I got to get my black life with my people. So do that. Yes. She's only I'm a mother. I am a partner to an amazing man, a sister, daughter, all of those things. So, and with me being a woman, I am a woman. I do identify as a woman. You know, this speaks to me. And I do want to highlight that this Me Too movement does not only reside in women and films. It can happen to men. Sexual assault and harassment to rape. Right. It can happen to men, to males, to however you identify. It has no color, it has no gender, it has no sex, it has no sexual orientation. It can happen to anyone. So I do want to highlight that because people like to align Me Too with women.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, it happens to us, the majority, but it can happen to anybody. Shout out to Terry Crews.
Yep.
And we believe you.
Yes, and we believe you. That is the most important. We believe you. And F capital. So.
Hey guys, my name is Ashley Nita. I am a cosplayer, writer, and a librarian during the daytime hours. You can find me at Afrobeat Cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, and have a good time to talk with you guys.
I am Belle Burr. I am an actor and a writer, and beginning cosplayer.
Yes.
Very we finally got it. And Catherine and I have had many discussions about this particular movement and all the fun things we've had to deal with in our chosen industry. So much fun.
Force that enthusiasm. Great. Hello everyone. I'm Karan Akiba. I'm an artist and seamstress and cosplayer. I've been doing this for quite some time, and I've even flew big a couple of times. That's really it. I'm just living life.
Did she really say that?
Yes, she did.
She tried all y'all lives.
Like she was literally making a flower crown.
Yes.
So much amazing artists.
Yes.
My name is Allie Shelley, aka Rogue Empress. I'm a cosplayer, drunk podcaster.
Drop review!
For PCU Drunk Reviews. I work in the construction industry. Normally, that's my 9-to-5 job or 7-to-3 job. And currently a panelist because I'm also a horrible public speaker. So I apologize. I'm sure my face is already bright red.
So
I was playing X-Men and this boy confronted me. And she's like, you need to talk to your mother. And I talked to my mom, and she's like, well, we need to go to school. We need to confront the child. And they didn't believe me. And as a second grader, still to this day, I was like, how could, like, why would you not believe something that second graders shouldn't know that word, shouldn't have to deal with that type of topic?
When it comes to being a cosplayer, there are times where there are people that feel that because you are their fantasy, probably realize that they feel that they can get antsy, or they feel that there are no rules. But you always have to kind of remind them that you're still a human being, and not just that you're someone's sister or you're someone's brother. You are someone, and there are times where you have to make sure you have to correct them, not violently like me, but you still have to make sure. And it is a shame in this day and age where you still have to tell adults to act like adults. But yeah, with that. But that is one of the things where, when being a cosplayer, that you have to be mindful of when you go ahead and you wear certain clothes, because there are times where, but even when you're not, it could be sweatpants, it could be a Power Girl suit, it could literally be a tight suit that I've worn at all, and there are still those threats that were very apparent in not just the community in general or the cosplay community in general, but it's just one of those natural habits that is still apparent, and you need to be very vocal about it.
Yeah. As an actor, I haven't, surprisingly, I haven't had as much as possible, I guess, which is such a weird thing to say. But one of the things I remember is that, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the play The Blue Room, but in it, the main characters, one of the main characters has to disrobe. It's not a big deal. Your body is your body, and that's a whole other thing, because the human body is beautiful, and half of this problem would be if we got over that and the stigmas about it. But there's 3 old white men directors, and they're like, we need to see before the audition, we need to see what you do. And I was like, no, we don't. And so this was the second play after the Dracula one we talked about this morning. So this is the second one. So I'm about 16. And these 3, what if I hadn't had the mindset to go, well, then I just won't do the play? I mean, what does me, I haven't auditioned yet. So what do you need to see that for? And I've run into similar situations, and I can honestly say I probably would have been further. I would not just be, I love the theater, but I know for a fact that if I had accepted a certain level of invasiveness, I would be doing more, there would be a bigger realm that I would be a part of. But I refuse. I'm sorry, you're not going to debase me. I'm a human being. You're not going to make me a thing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So my story, I guess one of many, it started for me around maybe 5 or 6. I like to say 6 because that's like the age I think I can remember, and we'll just like leave it at that. I'm one of the types who have a why I did not report story. So I think that's where my stuff is. The reason why I didn't report is, at the time I probably could have said something, because it would have been a little bit, it would have probably been handled then, but I feel I can't report it now because mine, one of them, is an Army veteran, and another one's a cop. So to me, I personally feel like, well, I'm here. But I speak out because I speak for children victims. I speak for women who felt all under the umbrella being coerced, being in situations where, oh, I have to do this so I can go home today, or if I do this, cool, I can get out of this situation. And I can also speak as a cosplayer because just as, Karen and I said, when you're a cosplayer, just like everything else, people feel like they're entitled to your personal space. Like I think I dressed as I was like, cool, that's fine. But I felt his hand like slowly going down, and like it went up here, and I was like, it's going
It's leaving.
no, time to evade the situation.
Just gonna go under this.
Right. I was like, friend, time to go. I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that kind of, in a way, almost stopped me from dressing in like more sexier cosplay, but then I got to a point where it's like, fuck it, I like dressing the way I dress. I like wearing those costumes. And just like everybody, I'm also a violent type as well. So it's like I'm not afraid to like cause a gigantic scene. Like I'll throw a table, but then I'll help the person pick this up. But I had to let you know.
Just smile and say, I'll break your wrist.
Right, exactly. And then still take the picture.
Or you'll shove chimichangas up his.
I don't have any personal stories, so I'm very fortunate in that. But what I do try to do is be advocates and to be an advocate and to speak up and disbelieve others when they say that, they've been sexually assaulted or raped. I think that's the best way that I can be an ally and to be aligned with this movement, because we all know somebody that's been raped, that's been sexually assaulted. Half the time it's somebody they know very closely. Sometimes it's your family member. Sometimes it's a professor. Sometimes it's your best friend. Sometimes it's your significant other. And the fact that this happens, it really hits a sore spot for me, because, in my life, trust has always been a very, very important thing. And when you violate that trust, and you're supposed to be, sometimes it's the very person that you feel like, when the world's crumbling, I should be able to turn to you. You take it upon yourself to force yourself upon me or a family member, whomever it can be, that really, really angers me. So I felt it very important to sit on this panel, because I think we all need to be heard. I think this should be an hour where we're all processing things, we're challenging our notions, because I think that's the most important thing that I've learned too, that some situations that I may have been in, I could have considered it rape. And that happens. You challenge your notions, you learn things about yourself, you have uncomfortable truths. And I think this is going to be a great time for us to see those uncomfortable truths, learn from others, and then go through the process of healing. I know that's a lot to cover in an hour, but we can do it. I believe in all of you. And I think that this is going to be cathartic for a lot of people. I don't expect everybody to come up and say, well, I was raped and I don't expect anybody to do that. But I hope that what you get from this is that there are people in your corner. There are people that you can turn to. There are different organizations that you can turn to within your local communities, and I hope that you have those resources, and if you don't have them yet, please seek them out. We believe you. No matter what it is, we believe you. Don't feel scared. You're not alone. You don't have to be scared. You can take that power from that person that they tried to exert over you.
Hi. So the question started as what kind of experience have you had? And I've had a lot. It's very hard to process. I have, as a performer, just on the small part of the scale, as a singer and actress, it's very important for me to be attractive and to be appealing and to play into my looks and to fit a certain stereotype. And if I don't fit that, then I don't work. I've lived in several different cities, and most recently in New Orleans, where after my first year performing, when I started standing up for myself as a union actor and saying, well, no, I need you to follow the rules if you're going to hire me, there were instances of people blacklisting me after the first year I didn't work, because because the prominent men in the community decided to publish it to everybody else that I was difficult to work with. And so I didn't work, and I just wanted them to follow the union rules. So there's that, and then on the other side, I mean, I've walked down the street like every woman in this room and been catcalled. I don't think there's any woman in this room who has not been catcalled. And the first time it happens to you, I don't know about you, the first time it happened to me, it was an absolute shock, because I didn't think of myself that way. And you're being seen as a thing that you don't expect, and it shifts your perspective as a girl. But the biggest thing that happened to me, I was raped when I was 16 by a serial rapist at my high school. And the worst thing about it is that it took 9 people to get someone to believe a woman, and I was the last one. I am lucky in this situation because I look like this, because I am a small, white, unassuming little girl who is easy to believe. And that is, in that way I was lucky, because I never had any of the problems with the police that the other girls had. There was a Hispanic girl, there were several African American girls, and it took till we got to me before he was found. Luckily, I didn't have to testify, so you may understand why I get a little emotional. And we were talking about this, this is jumping a little bit, but it's been very difficult for the past couple of days, the past 2 days, with all that's been going on with the Supreme Court hearings, because that situation, while I didn't have to testify, is very familiar to me. My case was very public as well. I had no opportunity to keep it a secret. I went to school the next day and everybody knew about it. That's just how it went. But I'm very lucky in the fact that I was believed, and that sucks.
Yep. So, kind of going, and I was going to say, let's go off of that, because when you were saying about how the belief, it goes to, one of the things I keep hearing from cosplayers, and this is one of the things where it affects fandom. I've heard you three say this over and over again. There was just an incident for Alan this past week where someone grabbed her. Just this week. And I know male cosplayers. I had a friend of mine tell me that someone grabbed his genitals. And I'm just like, why? It's baffling to me. It's baffling to me about this basic misunderstanding about how to treat. I mean, it seems so simple to treat others as you want to be treated. How many people in this room want someone to come up and just grab them by the genitals? So why is it so hard? And why does me putting on a costume change you understanding basic human decency? And how much of the things that we put out in the media, I was looking at, Doug wrote the article about gaming. And I used to game, and Allie used to game, and we both kind of quit for pretty much the same reason, because the minute someone found out that you were a girl, that's when the dick pics start showing up. And I'm not kidding. And I'm like, up until this point, you were just loving my kill count. So why didn't it find out I had tits? Sorry. But why did that change your mind about what you thought was appropriate?
Yeah, it wasn't until it was on the web where you could talk to a person where like,
Yeah, right.
and after that, I was like, it just wasn't fun anymore.
It's not worth it.
Right.
It literally ruined gaming for me. And that was something, that was my relaxed time, because anyone who's here who knows me knows that I am constantly running. And so gaming was my one thing where I could just like get out in somewhat healthy way. My level of frustrations with the day. And it's like, well, I can't do, you've taken something away from me that I enjoy. And going into the cosplay thing, like and that's one of the reasons why I've kind of been hesitant, because I deal with this enough with shows.
Yeah.
Because the shows that I do, I'm very much within the crowd. I'm on tour. And so I will be singing and I'm walking through the crowd, singing into the crowd. And I've had incidents. We had one of the guys who's in the show, he's a smaller guy, small guy. This woman, another genital grabber at a show. We've had an uptick of incidents in the last 2 years. I wonder why. I've had someone repeatedly offer me drinks while the show was happening. So I'm just like, I don't understand the disconnect. I really don't, and I get that, and it's on a limited basis, because at least in the show there are rules like and I thank God for this, my company will shut it down. We will end a show if someone puts their hands on you. That is the rule number one. The minute somebody gets out of hand, the show is over. That's it. But I'm lucky because your experience in NOLA was not the same, and I realized, which is the other thing, is I realized that all the parts were written where anybody of any gender could play them, which is unusual. But what if I didn't have that freedom and I'm on contract? And then what? I'm contracted for 2 more years. What if I didn't have it? Then what do I do? It's great. So I can't imagine what you guys deal with, because you're here all the time. You're at conventions all the time. So can you guys speak to that? Because you were downstairs today.
So, yeah, and I mean, one of the reasons growing up, I've always liked Rose, you can't touch her. Still don't really like, still to this day, I don't really like being touched by a lot of people, especially strangers. I will say today has been very fortunate. Everybody's been very polite to me this time around. People were asking, I was working. I'm handing out flyers normally too, but I still semi-strategically place them so that my butt's being blocked. Because there's been numerous occasions, whether I'm in this costume or other costumes, where a guy just feels like it's appropriate to put his hand right there. And a lot of times I am working. I don't necessarily like to cause scenes in general. I know how to separate myself from situations. Case in point, there was a cosplay party not too long ago where a gentleman, he had made some sexual remarks to me. I tried to play them off. Later, he grabbed my butt, and somebody was playing an Indiana Jones playing with a whip, and I was like, I'm gonna go play with the whip. I'm getting out of here. Separate yourself from the situation whenever you feel uncomfortable. And I hate to say that it's a norm, because it shouldn't be a norm. I shouldn't be able to put on my costume, which I love doing. I love making them. I love going to hospitals and helping sick children and stuff like that. It shouldn't be. I get they're drawn sexually, but this is fun. This isn't an okay situation where you can touch me. I was talking here yesterday with my roommate. We avoided going past a bus station because there was just a group of men standing there. And we're like, you know what? Let's wait to the next light and then cross this way and just go the long way around. Because we just could sense that we just didn't want this going.
Yep.
And we could feel it across the street still, but at least we had that distance of racing cars.
It's really telling that, like what Catherine was just saying, to cope with these things, all of the burden is placed on women, which is primary. So usually it's not, we're never looking at, well, why are boys feeling inclined to rape? Why do they feel like they have this agency? It's, well, why were you wearing that? Or why were you over at this house late at night? Why were you wearing suggestive clothing? You know,
Why were you by yourself?
why were you by yourself? You know, if you go jogging at night, you should have, right, you should have leash, you should have a weapon or something like that. And I feel that's very telling of us as a society. That we still haven't gotten past that. Because I know people to this day that will say, if I have a daughter, I will teach her these things. Like to not jog at night. And it's very frustrating because it's just like, why is the onus placed on us? To have to curtail our behavior so that men don't feel inclined to rape. Like, I don't understand how that works. It's like...
And it's not like it's just popped up either way. I mean, we've been wearing skirts to our knees. I mean, we've been wearing petticoats and layers, and rape was still a thing. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter. It's not your fault.
Yeah, and that's not even getting into what happens to transgender people. You guys, I don't even know how many people here know how many transgender people have died this year and have been assaulted. But as much as last count, it's 40.
That's 42.
And that's 42 many.
Right.
That's 42 damn many. And, or if your child presents as gay, that doesn't give somebody a bonus to put their hands on them.
Right. Your child is still something.
They're still a person.
Right.
And so, and it's horrifying to me because when I read that, I was just like, how is that possible? How is it not on the news every day? And that's the other thing with, now I don't know, now this is not, I'm not really sure, so I'm going to have to defer to you guys. Because I honestly don't know how much of that presents in fandom in the cosplay community. When you have LGBTQ people, how much the harassment doubles in.
How much time we got?
So that, I'm like, I mean, we got 20 minutes left. So.
Let me hop on real quick. So to speak to the cosplay thing, because someone, no, that's not going to happen, step one. Step two is, I have a very interesting degree. My degree is in biological anthropology, but my school wanted us to be very well-rounded, so we were a few other things. So to break all this down, anthropology is the study of human life any place, anytime. And my teacher told us to check your bias at the door, and we're just going to talk. And people either change religions or whatnot because it got heavy. And for me, when I look at why people feel, it's not an excuse. By the way, I'm not saying this is an excuse, but historically, like when I took African American studies, there was a book called The 5 Pillars of Womanhood, or something like that. And basically, these 5 pillars symbolize what a woman was supposed to be. She was supposed to be submissive to her husband and God. She was supposed to be pure. She was supposed to be domestic and, and just, there were these real ridiculous rules. And funny enough, they never applied to Black women or African women because, of course, body size, breasts were big, huge hips, huge butt, must be sexual. They came from Africa. They don't have a religion. And this whole idea was used to justify why it was okay for white men, privileged white men, to rape Black women, because it's like, oh, it's a good time throughout, like, up to date. Like, you can even see it in something as simple as when someone's dragging someone on the internet. Like, if someone does something problematic on the internet, whether they blackface or they slut shame, we already write them off, and then everyone comes out of the woodworks, and it's like fair game. They're canceled, let's trash them, let's bash them, and we forget that they're still a human. We forget that they're still a person. Now, regardless, they may have done something really messed up, but they are still a person to some degree, right? And I feel the same thing.
Some degree.
And I feel like, and when I say that, it's because we use that, or not us,
The mob
but,
mentality.
right, people use that excuse, use that idea that, oh, this person is they're X, Y, and Z, so I don't need to treat them like they're a respectful person. Oh, this person's wearing a low-cut top or short skirt, I don't need to treat them like a human being. They're trash. And when it comes to, and to bring it back to women, sorry, young ladies. To bring that back to women, like, the moment we do something that's not seen as a respectable woman, we get written off real fast. If you wear something sexy, oh, you're asking for it, you're into that kind of. Or like, for example, let's say, with S&M and BDSM, even if you're not into it, but you like the aesthetic, like you like the collars, you just like that. The moment you put that on, even if it's for fashion, just because you think it's cool, someone thinks, oh, I guess you don't mind being dominated. You want me to just pull your hair indiscriminately. You want me to just grab you and just tell you what to do, not knowing that even in BDSM there are
rules.
And it's like, oh, shocker, even the people who do the most kinkiest of things, they have to ask permission.
Yeah.
Well,
that goes
big concept.
Is that okay if I would, to speak, that's a perfect segue into how society, like, so many things are geared towards either infantilization or women as objects. And my first example always goes back to Justice League. Because the difference in how the Amazons looked in Wonder Woman and how they were shot in Wonder Woman, and the difference in how they looked and were shot in Justice League tells you the mindset from day one. It's not even conscious. But if you go back and watch Justice League, every shot of Diana is from the ass up. Every single shot starts down here and works its way up. And it's all about the male gaze. And regardless of how you feel about that movie, that is a problem. But it's so many things that's systemic in so much of culture. Again, gaming. Again, so many films are specifically shot towards that. It's one of the reasons why I'm always going to be pumping for Ava DuVernay. Because for her show, she got all women directors for every single episode of Queen Sugar. And it makes a huge difference in how every single character was shot. And it's something you don't think about, but think about how the female characters on Game of Thrones, which I love, but think about how they're shot. And the male characters are not shot that way. Even though Jon Snow is just as sexy as Khaleesi, and yet they're not shot in the same way. They're just not. We don't get the gazes from all the way, starting at his feet, going all the way up to that ass, and coming up. We just don't get it.
I would go for that.
It was one of the things that stood out to me, right, for Winter Soldier, was that there were so many ass shots of Captain America and less of Black Widow, and it actually was so telling, it was noticeable. And I hadn't realized how many shots of Black Widow's butt I'd seen in every single movie up until that point.
And that poster.
Yeah.
That poster.
Yeah.
Every single person was like facing head on.
Yeah,
and then you show her back.
I was like, how does that even work? It's so painful. Your body's
And that's not even twist. And it's not threatening. Oh, let's even go to like 90s comic book covers. Like when they're contorted in such a manner where just like
the Spider-Woman.
And they had like doctors in science to be like, that is physically impossible. She has organs. She cannot lift that way. Right,
Bring it back to taking women who took their ribs out and bottom
Yes.
Yes.
It happened.
That was a real thing.
Surgery to be the perfect woman.
Still do.
Okay. Yes.
And it's still never else. And that's the crazy thing. Like you're mutilating our bodies.
And the thing that I find the most frightening is that we don't notice.
Yeah.
I I don't notice a lot of the time when something is detrimental to us as a species, to us as women, to what people think. So all of these things that you're talking about, and it took, I remember in this, I think I tried reading the Foundation series, and I don't remember, because some guy told me it was good. And so I read it, and I don't remember when it came in, but I didn't even notice
This doesn't sound.
until the first woman showed up in the series, and I think that was somewhere in the middle of book 2. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear it's somewhere in the middle of book 2, and she's just a caricature of a bitch.
Yep.
That's it. That's all she was. And I was like, oh, I don't want to read this. This has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
We don't even notice because the male gaze is so dominant, and it's the norm.
And it's,
So it's so hard for us, even as intelligent, strong women, to notice.
Because it's so ingrained.
So ingrained.
Well, I mean, what would I watch movies with my husband all the time, and it's not, and I just do it. But I wonder sometimes if it would, what the women's gaze, the female gaze would even look like, and if he would be willing to watch, or if any of you would even be willing to watch it. So, it's
I was gonna say
one of the, there are so many things that I have so many thoughts about how to make this better, and it's really, really, really difficult. I mean, I come up with 10 things a day and then find out and realize, well, it's not going to work because of this. But at some point, I'd like to say what I think would be helpful. And it's, the first thing is that women have to be taught to, have to be willing to speak out, even when it's uncomfortable.
and, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We all have to be more,
Men too, honestly.
yeah.
Because the Terry Crews thing, people were so shocked, and I'm like, I'm not even
Yeah,
surprised. I wasn't surprised at all.
But to not set up women, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like.
Women and you have to be
Because we don't want to cause a scene. I mean, I was raised Catholic, and I was taught to be kind and to be submissive in a way that I didn't even know I was being taught.
it's insidious.
And, you know, you're either a vixen or a virgin, and
there's no in between.
it's a sin. It's
No.
a sin. So
And it's like,
I think, yeah, if I'd been taught that sexuality, that I have sexuality and it's something to be owned by me, then that would have helped me. Then I would have been more likely, I don't know this, because you never know what you're going to do in this situation, but I feel like I would have been more likely to say, you don't get to do that
Yeah.
a lot of the time. And it took me until I was much older to be able to do that. So,
And a quick side note before we get, because we definitely want some audience
You want to get some,
interaction.
you want to get some questions?
And especially like, not just con situations, but a lot of times you can read on a person's face. If they feel uncomfortable, if their personal space is violated, go over and just approach that person. Try to, they might not want to cause a scene, they might not know how to leave a scene. But if you can read that on their face, just go over and say something like, hey, would you like to go get a cup of coffee with me? I love your costume, I love your shirt. Like, just separate them from that toxic situation.
Yes, exactly. I don't know you, but you're my new best friend.
And that's such a good way to be an ally as well.
Yeah.
I mean, read people.
Well, go to them and like, oh, hey, are you ready to go?
Yes, and that's going to be one of the things I want to talk about, which is before we take questions, is how to be an ally. What you said, if you see something that's not kosher, that you know is pinging your alarms, do something. It's real easy to walk up to somebody and be like, hey, you good? No? Then let's go. It's so simple. It's so simple. I will Leroy Jenkins any situation.
situation that is like, I don't like that she's sad, or he's sad, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Humans are very similar, and I know because my mother's one.
And that's how we relate.
And there's something else I want to bring up that we were just talking about. Something that we've been discussing this past week. I'm sure you all have heard about the whole back pain situation.
The back
I was all full disclosure. I'm here for it. There was too many shadows for my liking. I tweeted all of the liking. My problem, we got this immediate uproar.
Yes.
Like the second printing is going to be edited.
There's actually not going to be a second printing.
Oh, it's not even a second printing.
They're not reprinting it.
Now it's not even a second printing.
There's not even a second printing.
You don't even see all of the head. You don't see all of the chest. It's shadow. You get like you don't even get vein. You don't see it.
That's not ready for this.
I'm ready. To bring it back to be serious about it, we got an immediate reaction to seeing not even full-on schlong. We see shadows.
Right.
However, like you just brought up Game of Thrones, there was a full-on rape scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no one said anything.
I feel
But
like
no,
Black
it's not that
Nerd
major
Problems.
outrage.
I want to say, what was it? Black Nerd Problems and us and like maybe the AV Club were the only people who were like,
This is
a
uncomfortable.
problem.
This is not cool.
Right.
And that's out of how many voices? And
Yeah,
geek
and that's not
culture.
even talking about comics where how many times have you seen female characters drawn where nipples are pointing?
Yes.
Or where they're supposed to
Outline
be,
of the vagina.
yes, and they're supposed to be in a uniform. And I'm
how
like,
are
you
you
can't
fighting
fight in
crime
that.
in
Right. I can't fight.
stiletto boots?
Yeah.
Yes.
But we get one shot of that information and everybody loses it.
There's like there's a jelly ankles. I don't.
Oh, really?
I don't. Yeah, all right.
I'm saying how there's not any more
Right.
ankles.
That's it.
Because they're all made out of gel. All
Yeah.
women's ankles in comics are made out of gel. apparently.
And
But
it's crazy.
Yeah. So going to the ally thing.
So bring it back
to the
I just wanted to talk about that. Bring it full circle.
And
It's always sensitive.
more like a moose.
anyway, but to bring it back to the ally thing, we also need to demand that our creators, and we were saying this in the diversity panel for those of you who were there for that, look like us. And then it's interesting because you just did a show not that long ago where almost did a show because she had the balls, and I gotta give my girl credit. Girlfriend walked out. She walked out because she was not she's got the shine, that's right.
I like that because walls are very sensitive.
They are.
They should not be touched.
They should not be touched. It's not unless
Stop
it's a
pushing
fun
out an
time.
8-pound kid. All right?
Speaking from experience.
Yes.
But can you like touch on that real quick about like why you felt that you needed to walk away from the show?
Okay,
Because
well,
this was a great out. This is how you be an ally.
okay, well, I was cast in a show that was dealing with, I'm trying not to give names here, but which was dealing with a sensitive subject in terms of, it's a very old show, musical, operetta, where people are, at the time, I'm sure it, oh God, I don't even know how to talk about this.
There's a lot of people of color that were very stereotypical. Okay.
Yes. Sorry?
You're in the right wheelhouse. Yeah.
And the artistic team sat us all down a week, not a weekend, like halfway through the rehearsal process, saying, the steps we have taken to make sure we are being sensitive to this issue. And if you have any problems, come and talk to us. And personally, I noticed some issues where they were dealing more with the women's aspect in terms of a seduction as a rape, as assault, at pushing the person down, and suddenly she was into him.
She was into it.
As young girls, schoolgirls being over-sexualized, and I struggled with it, but I decided to go and talk to the team, and basically I was told that I was overreacting. So after a good deal of time, I thought I was the only one, and then I found out that there were several other people going to the artistic team with issues of various different things, and everyone was told they were overreacting.
Yep.
After being told to go to the team. So I left the production. Admittedly, I was not getting paid, but then I found out, the trigger for me was when I found out that some of the male chorus members were being paid, but not the women. So I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Double done.
Yeah.
Triple done.
Yeah. And that's not even getting into, because we have had many discussions about that. That was just the women, not even getting into the people of color who told them that this is not okay. And they did, and they weaponized the person of color. That was my other thing.
Weaponized?
Yeah, because they basically, one person of color in the cast, in the main cast, most of the people were people of color, and one person of color was like, well, I don't see a problem. So apparently that person spoke for everybody. And so, yeah, because we y'all have no idea. We had many conversations about that. And I was like, it's so playing us, it's playing women against each other. She was a woman and a person of color. So it was playing us against women against each other and the person of color aspect against each other, and basically using us as a bludgeon against each other. And so what she did, and we had this really long conversation, and she was like, was I right? And I was like, girl, you were not just right, you are a freaking hero, because she walked out, and and as an actor, I don't know, you're only as good as your last show.
It's terrible.
It's so terrifying to walk away from a show. I cannot impress you guys how hard it is to go, I can't. Because you might not work again. It's really that simple, and that's your bread and butter. We are union. If we walk away from the show, that could blacklist us, not just here, but around the country. That could ruin our careers, period. So the fact that she had the guts to do that, I'm like, no, don't ever question that. The fact that you had the guts to even walk away like that is amazing to me. And that's how
I was lucky in a way. I was not under contract, but they were.
Yep.
So they did not feel like they could
could.
leave, because it would ruin their livelihood.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that is how this stuff happens.
That's how it happens. That's why people don't speak up. That's why people don't speak out, because the young Justin, Nathan, who was Justin? Anyway, Nathan was saying this morning at the diversity panel, and we were talking about Crazy Rich Asians. It's like, you don't want to be the one person who's like, well, I don't like this, because I don't want to be a stereotype, and I don't want to be represented stereotypically. And then, but then it goes, well then, we'll never get another shot.
Right.
Yeah.
But to say you're against the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it goes to that too, but we want to take questions.
Yeah.
Because we don't have, we have 15
We
minutes.
can talk about
Yeah, we don't want, I'm sure you don't want to hear us talk.
I know, and but this young lady right here, she has been
Yeah,
like,
she's been eager.
Yeah.
I always saw it like that.
Yep.
But while I was waiting for the light girl, I felt something running against my butt. I was like, did someone just touch me there? And my brother was at Celebrate time, so I was like, how's your dog speaking about cancer? Right?
Right there. I was eating dinner.
like bread, because I was just saying stuff.
Okay, right.
You should have
Right.
I saw what you were, and that goes to the thing about it doesn't matter what you're wearing.
Right.
Because she looked
Like it did,
adorable.
like when I was at the prom last year,
Yeah.
like I wanted to take a photo of my butt, and like my friend was right there, and so I'm
He asked to take a photo.
He asked if you could take a selfie with her ass, and I.
Oh, that crane thing?
And she was wearing the same cosplay, and I told her, I said that her boyfriend would murder me if I allowed him to do that. Because she's my best friend, and I don't like when people treat my friends like crap, and these two right here are dear friends of mine, and
I thought you wanted to take a picture of me, take a selfie with me, but not my butt.
if you continued to follow us, I would have kicked them.
But what I don't understand is that
So if we just start tasing folks.
I will say that there's, of course.
If I do brand you a groper with a G, so you'll always have that G, so when you look in the mirror, you will remember me.
It'll be on my Facebook.
I love that.
and I mean, and that's the thing, like, how do you even,
How do you
like
get
you
the
say, you're like,
audacity?
he touched my butt, and it took you a second to even realize that you had been back with it.
Yeah, I didn't even see the person do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking for my problem.
And to speak to that picture thing, and that's the thing that's really, like in the cosplay community, especially in the nerd community, little things just pick up and the internet blows up. And the one thing that blew up that I wish it didn't was this whole like worship that ass meme where everyone's always like doing this in front of like people's stuff. Now wait, if someone says, okay, I'm fine with you taking a picture like that.
It's about consent.
Right.
Right.
But if you're just like, hey, I just want to take a picture of your ass, I can do this. That is so weird and it's so rude.
It's
And
weird.
it's weird how it's growing, how people like
Start farting.
We set the whole con together, and I made sure the guy wasn't following us and no other dude trying to harass us.
But you shouldn't even have had, you shouldn't
Right.
even have
And
had.
that's what I mean.
She's my best friend.
Of course.
But yeah, but
Start
that's
eating
not.
nachos with beans and baked beans.
Sauteed onions.
Cabbage. Right there, she wears the tank top.
Okay, and then,
Yes.
funny.
So I love the idea about like paying attention to like people who might need help. Do you guys have any other like things that you've noticed that's helped you? Like things that you can do to be an ally?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
Yes.
quite honestly and simply, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
If somebody has a complaint, don't brush off their complaint. If they have a shake in their voice in particular,
Yeah.
there's something wrong.
Yes.
Like listening.
like listen to understand and not listen to argue.
So you can get to the next, so you can start talking next.
Yeah.
And make it known that you're available to help.
Yeah.
Because for a while, I would wear those buttons to cons. It was like, for a while, it was the I'll go with you buttons and a few other ones. And I just always made sure that whatever costume I had, I just made sure that I had a button or something like that. Put the announcement on my social media. I was like, hey, if you have an issue, let me know.
But even in everyday life, I mean, I have what can mildly be termed a big personality. So,
Right. You?
she's so meek. So, I mean, and I have an air of cover your children's ears. Don't fuck with me. So,
Yes.
so if I see somebody who does it, I know, right?
I've been duped.
I know. So if I see someone who personally, I have no problem walking up to someone and just being like, are you okay? Male or female, because I've seen dudes in really uncomfortable situations where I'm like, what's going on there? We don't know each other, let's talk. So, go up to people. If you see something that, like I said before, if you see something that your spidey sense starts going on, it's better to be wrong.
Yeah.
It's better to be wrong than to not do anything and then you find out something happened.
Right.
Exactly.
And it can start with you too. Like it can start with you and your group of friends. Like,
Yeah.
make sure like all of your friends know that like, hey, if you have a problem or if you want to discuss something or if you have been this and that, or if you need me to go with you to the bathroom,
Yep.
let me know. Like
Yes.
this, and don't be that, be that friend, and don't be that friend that share those memes that kind of like, put women down and put victims down. Like, even if you think it's funny or
It's
whatever.
not. The
maybe-
hypocrisy is glaring.
Right. People will notice. Like, people notice little things. So just, start here and then you can branch your way out.
Yeah, my lady with the bunny shirt on. You're the bunny.
Another thing I think that we can do to make sure that we're more aware is check your rage. And what I mean by that is, if you notice that when you tell somebody no, when they approach you or encroach on your space and you tell them no, I mean, we witnessed it this last week, the anger that comes out when somebody's privileged or when they think that they cannot do something anymore.
Yeah.
So if you are, somebody tells you no, whether it be male, female, gay, or straight, and somebody tells you no, that's not okay, check your rage, check
Yeah.
your privilege, find out about you. Why are you getting
Why
so
is that
mad?
making
Why
you
is that
angry?
I'm not allowed to do something? It's not your body. So that's how you can turn from being a victimizer to have hope in our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
Squirrel.
Oh, yes. I teach 2 and 3-year-olds for a living,
Okay.
and
Thank you. You are a saint.
Right.
Parents have more fun. But most of the day, I'm telling the little buddies, keep your hands to yourself, keep your hands to yourself. You can't touch me, you can't touch the other kids like that, because they know going on mommy's bosom or being able to grab daddy.
Right.
They don't know you can't do that with other people.
Right.
But my conundrum and my thought, I just don't understand why this lesson was not
Taught at home.
taught, or, I mean, a lot of adults don't understand that concept, keeping your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
And like, I am very, very shy, but I love cosplay. But most of my problems have been in non-costume. I've been on the bus here, and one particular incident that just made my mind, just blew my mind, actually too. I still don't like being very close to people. I know once an older gentleman sat down next to me, and I wanted to give him space, so I got up. He grabbed me by my arm and just said, "No, you don't have to get up." And I just got out of his grip and kept walking. And I'm thinking to myself, what made him think he
What made you think you're gonna
like that?
Yeah.
And I had one man that just wanted to tell me his life story, and me being oblivious to other possibilities. Just listen. I wasn't giving him the answers he wanted to hear. This man threatened me, so he threatened to hurt me. I told him to get the hell away from me. He put his fist up like he was going to come after me, and I was just getting into fight and saying like, "Oh my God, I'm about to kill an old man this morning."
That was a fair reaction.
Yeah.
But as a person I'm often on the bus with, a male, he intervened, was like, "Wait a minute, that's a sister." But I'm thinking, what makes this man think that I had to answer him? Because first of all, he thought I was being bougie because of the way I
They said a lot.
Yeah.
That's another.
That's a whole other panel.
At 7 in the morning was threatening to beat me up because I wasn't giving him the answers he wanted to hear. And I'm like, where does this entitlement come from? I don't understand.
It's taught, but that's
It's
taught.
taught. It is.
It's God.
I mean, we're taught this, and if you gotta really think about it. When in school, if a boy hits a girl, that's because he likes you, or even like
We're taught, yeah.
we're taught.
When a boy pulls your pigtails, he likes
He
you.
likes you.
No, he's hurting.
The frat boy culture,
Yeah,
the
right.
jock in high school culture, they're taught that they can have whatever they want, whenever they want, and they're not told about consequences.
Yeah.
You need to understand that, no.
If I hear boys will be boys one more damn
Exactly.
time, which is
Right.
so used to
Right. I think we should briefly bring that up. We do have questions. I want to get to everybody.
I'm gonna come and then for Mary, I saw you, so I'm coming back.
So just in the last few years, my boyfriend has introduced me to like comic books and video games and stuff like that. And I have to say that when he showed me pictures of the Comic-Con in San Diego, and I saw there was a sign that says, "Please don't touch." And then I saw the costumes and I thought, cosplayer game, how can you, I heard you talking about the male gaze, and to me, when I look at even some of the costumes the women wear, certainly the video games and the anime, the comic books, it's all the male gaze. How do you then define that for yourself without feeling that you are walking out the house as the objectification of male fantasy?
Good question.
So,
I think, that's a good one. That is a very good question.
yeah,
Go for it.
go right.
Yeah,
I love
yes,
sexy
great.
things. And I love, I don't care if you're an 80-year-old Pikachu dude in a banana hammock, or if I'm walking around in a string bikini. Now, my dad, and I talk about my parents a lot because even though they came from a very traditional world, their teachings were very unconventional. And they made sure that even though they kind of kiboshed two cultures, because my mom was born here, but my dad was born in Jamaica, they always kind of had the same moralities and tried to instill that in us. It's like, I don't care what you're wearing, I don't care where you are, what you're doing. No one is allowed to own your body. You own your own body. And it took that way, and there was no shaming of sexuality. There really wasn't really. We were very open with everything to the point where we didn't even have a damn Santa Claus. And it's like, no, because he paid for it. We were all very open about what happens. There was no stork. My mom and dad had relations, and they had 4 kids. So it was one of those where we were always very open to the fact that, yes, we all have these bodies, but they are your own. No one owns them, no matter whether you go ahead and you promise your life to someone when you're married, your body is still your body. So even when it comes to these things where it comes to the sexual realization of becoming these amazing characters, because it's always been kind of taboo to embrace sexuality, even though it's one of the most natural things that any one of us can do. And it's one of those where you have to shift your mentality into thinking, am I saying this wrong because society says it's wrong, or because I truly believe that? And it's one of those where... And we all have to check ourselves.
Right.
We all have to kind of just take a step back and really truly see where that mentality is coming from. And for me, it's always been one of those where I'll show my dad, like, hey, I'm dressing up as Power Girl today. It's like, go ahead, get him, girl. Beat everybody. It's just one of those things where you have to truly kind of break down your own mentality and see where we can grow from there. And evolve. The people, if you're growing, you're always checking yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I find myself...
Live in the discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, while we were extremely open as a family, I am Southern and English. So there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of repression on both sides, and my mother strove against that, and she was very good about that. I was telling my mom, we had naked baby time in our house. Because you know, she was like, no one, you should know what's yours and what somebody's not supposed to be doing. So she was very good about that, but at the same time, the rest of her family was not, because they are very Southern. And my dad's family is very British. And so it's like, that was I had like, in my house, I had you. When I went to visit anyone else, they were like, that child is too fast.
Right.
She too grown.
Exactly.
I heard that a lot growing up. And it was like, it was nothing wrong with that, because my mom taught me that there was nothing wrong with my body.
Exactly.
And so, but it's still, but I still find that sometimes that Southern Brit thing comes up every once in a while, and I'm like, nope, calm yourself. Calm yourself. Yeah, but you got a constant, it's a constant, it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing to not, like you said, live in the discomfort. Live in the discomfort.
Yeah, because for me, for example, like, I never knew I had agency over my body. Like, because when I was growing up, my mom, like, Southern Baptist, we don't talk about sex. just know you're not supposed to do it. Or if like, you know, it's,
I don't know about you, but I was supposed to be afraid of it.
like, I wasn't, no, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And then, you know, for me, it was, then it was, you know, of course, not, but the abuse happened, and then I, of course, never told my mom, and then the idea of, oh, so-and-so's home, or so-and-so's here, you can't be walking around in that, you have to change. So I never knew that it's like, oh, this is, I control this. Like, I never knew that, and it was because of cosplay, and like, you know, checking myself and learning that, like, learning that I had agency over my body and I control my own sexuality. Like, if I like something, it's like, oh, that's a very sexy outfit. I want to make that. Wait, I shouldn't do that. Women don't do that. That's going to get
Yes, they do.
Like, that's going to get me into trouble. That's going to put me in a situation I don't want to be in. Things like that. So for me, growing up, it was always a constant, like, push-pull. Yes. Until, like, I learned that, like, no, I want to show off my tits. No, I want to show off my tits. I'm going to do that because that's going to be badass. So it's like, so coming from that mindset, when you're seeing like video games, anime, media, these things have been happening for like decades. We talk about 16 candles at a time.
Oh, Lord.
And it's like, you just learn over time that it's like, look, if they wanted, if the video game character is doing that, if I want to do that, that's perfectly fine because I control my body. If I don't want to dress like that, that's totally fine too because, I'm not there yet. But, that's also fine, that's also fine too because I control what goes on this body, not what someone says goes on this body. If you want me to wear that, oh, that's a nice suggestion. I don't, take that somewhere else.
You can keep your 2 cents.
You can keep your 2 cents, but, me is me, and I do what I have here.
Oh, you take them more or less.
Yes. You've been popping up.
You've been popping up trying. And
First 5 minutes,
we'll
really,
wrap it
yeah.
up.
So thank you very much for the panel. This has been really great. One of the things, because I'm also really new to comic books, and that's one of the things that kept me away is because like I was seeing away when you were in the thing, and I just could not relate to it at all. And I wanted to hear from you all about what you think, how that's changed over time, if you think things are better, if you can recommend some characters, and also, sorry, this is a long question. But I don't know if you guys have heard about the, you ladies have heard about the Hawkeye initiative, or Hawkeye project, where they
I have, I love it.
Yeah. And
I love it.
they put him like in these like ridiculous female poses, and it just makes you realize like, whoa, this is
And
like
it's a
totally
beautiful
weird.
thing.
Yeah.
The fact that we're shocked about it is still an issue.
She just asked geeks to list characters.
She asked them multiple words, but that was the first thing I said. I was like, girl, I have suggestions.
I'm like, we don't have all that.
Second seats environment does.
I kind of want to start off as the cosplay community gotten better. So I've been doing this for about only 10 years now.
Only.
And I mean, when I first started, my cosplay wife, who's actually in the back, we cosplayed together. Hi, Black Cat, take her to love you. We started doing this together, and back then it was, I guess, more innocent. There was a lot of excitement to it. I feel like now there's, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of cosplay shaming. I can't tell you how many times another rogue has called me a chubby rogue. Or talked down to me, and I'm like, I'm doing this for fun, and I've been bullied, and this was not what I wanted. This is for play. This is for fun. Like I have my silly cosplay page that I started. I was like, cosplay has the word play in it. Have fun. Like be nice. Be geeky. Be enjoyable with each other. And I feel like a lot of that passion and just honest, nerdy, and geeky love is kind of missing lately. And I've shied away from it, to be perfectly honest, in the past couple of years because I've had so many females that have not been very receptive or, yeah, I mean, I hate to put it that way, but it's changed a lot in the past 10 years, and it needs to go back to where it was. In the past couple of weeks, there's been people, I don't know this one cosplayer, but they put a petition out to, if she could cosplay a character or not. I don't know the story. I try to stay away from cosplay drama.
Yeah.
I don't know character, but and that's another thing. I don't know. I stay away from the Play any character you want, have fun with it, be beautiful, you look amazing. All of these cosplayers here, you are doing an awesome job.
I think that's the perfect